Alright, today's video we're going to work on a 2011 Ford Ranger. I'm going to be changing the battery out in it. Basically this should be about the same for just about every Ford Ranger from 2002 up till they discontinued in 2012, I believe. Now, as you'll notice, one of the first things I have to do on this, I have to clean my terminals. These terminals are covered in corrosion. They're not super bad, but they definitely have some corrosion on them, so I want to get the corrosion off there. I usually try to do this before I take the batteries out. I might have to scrape them a little bit after I get the battery out. And make sure you clean inside your boot too, because if there's corrosion here, it's just going to get right back on the new battery. So I'm going to clean these off real quick, and then we'll get the battery out of there. So the first thing I'll do, I want to use some contact cleaner. Make sure you wear safety glasses if you're doing this so it doesn't fly back in your face. Just going to screw out the contacts. This gets 90% of the stuff off of it. If it doesn't get it all, you have to take a little wire brush, hit them. So the contact cleaner will get the corrosion off of there. Once I have that cleaned up, I'm going to wipe it down, and then I'm going to start taking the battery out. So again, just got a shop towel here, cleaning off the stuff. Make sure I get my cable clean. I got good clean ends on it now. I cleaned out my boot. Stuff is corrosive, so make sure you either wear gloves or wash your hands really good, like I'm going to afterwards. If you don't do this for a living, or you don't do this kind of stuff for a living, your hands may be a little bit more sensitive. So I would recommend wearing rubber gloves. But so I'm going to just remove the two terminals. This looks like an 8mm, which it is. Once I get those loose, I always put something between the battery and the frame when I'm taking the battery off, whether it be my hand, a rag. That way if you do come back and slip with the wrench, you don't actually arc the battery to the chassis anywhere. So if you're going up against the frame or something over here, put the rag on that side. Just make sure you don't arc the two out. You'll see some sparks flying. Once I get those loose, I just want to take the terminals off. Negative, positive. I'm just going to push those back where they won't be in my way. Now the hold down for the battery is in the back. So it's a little 8mm bolt. You'll need a socket, extension. So I got an 8mm socket, an extension, and a ratchet. So basically we're just going to loosen that up. And what that does is that creates pressure to keep the battery from sliding around inside the engine compartment. And so get it loose enough I can take it out by hand. Take my ratchet off. Just turn it out by hand. And again, this is just creating a wedge down in here to keep the battery from moving around. Put that up out of there and make sure you don't drop your bolt. And with that being out of the way, you should be able to lift up on the battery now and just pull it up out of there. Like so. So before you put the new battery in, make sure you have your battery tray cleaned out if it's dirty. Finish cleaning up your terminals. You may need a little wire brush in there to get the rest of the stuff out. I'm going to clean mine up again, a little corrosion cleaner. Wire brush them, get them all cleaned up and ready to go back. And then we'll be ready to put the battery back in. So my new battery's on the left, the old battery's on the right. As you can see, I bought a 59 instead of a 58. Basically the 59 will fit in the compartment. The terminals are reversed on it, so I have to make sure I put the battery in backwards from where I pulled it out. Won't matter at all as far as fitting. Just have to make sure you get the red on the red and the black on the black. But there was only an extra $5 more, and I got an extra like 65 or 60 cold cranking amps out of it. So I went ahead and upgraded the battery. So again, I didn't get 100% of the corrosion off, but I got all the, I'm going to work on it today. I got enough off that it shouldn't corrode again. I'm going to put some antioxidant on the cables too. So I'm going to move those out of the way. I'm going to drop my battery back in the tray. So, I'll take my hold down, which is this, and make sure I turn it the right direction. There's two little grooves in here. Can't really miss them. Drops down in. I'll start the bolt by hand or thread it in with my socket like a screwdriver to make sure I don't cross thread it. Once I feel it bite, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it down. Okay, that's gonna keep me from moving in the compartment. Take my negative, put it on first. Actually, I'm not. Alright, so after I get my battery down in there, wipe the terminals off, just dry them off. It's raining here today, so a dry connection. Put my negative on first. And again, now this is up to you. You don't need to, but I'm going to take some Oxguard, or basically an antioxidant. You can use a dielectric grease if you want. That way it'll conduct, but it won't oxidize. I'm just going to put a little bit of this on here. I'm not going to goop it on. You don't want it splattering or making a mess. Just want enough to keep it from corroding the terminal. So one finger should do both terminals. And that'll help keep it from oxidizing again or creating corrosion. Negative on. Make sure you get your bolt tight. If it's loose, you'll get a loose connection. If you get a ground or a bad ground, car will die on you. Don't tighten the point where you snap them, but tighten the point where they won't break or come loose. Okay. Positive, they spark a little bit, shouldn't, but you may get a little spark. Tighten these up. Again, rag up against my frame so I don't arc it out or anything. And again, verify your positive on positive, negative on negative. Again, tight enough you don't break it. I'll boot back on and we'll start her up. And that's all there is to changing the battery. Again, make sure your terminals stay on the right side or the correct sides. Again, since I used a 59, not a 58, my terminals are reversed, so I took the battery and just flipped it around the other way. Make sure your terminals are long enough to reach across the battery if you do that. Again, the reason I did that is basically for an extra, I think the 58 was $99.99 and this was 106 bucks. So better battery, not much more money. And again, take a little bit more time when you're done here. I've got to get a different wire brush. The one I had wouldn't fit in there very well. But just take some more corrosion cleaner. Take a wire brush and get all that green stuff off there, all the corrosion off there. That way it doesn't, corrode out on you again.